Dads often drop the ball on being present with their kids, but it's not their fault. Society has defined presence as just physical, but physical is just one piece of the presence puzzle. I realized this and I changed my definition of presence. Presence to me, it's being attentive, intentional, and having emotional availability in real time. AKA when you're there, you're fully there. Now, when I realized this and I kind of course corrected and changed how I handled being present with my kids, I saw my relationship with them improve exponentially. All right, so the best example of this is online dating. So I'm not sure it's available now, Bumble, Tinder, Hinge, Plenty of Fish. That was a thing 100 years ago. I don't know what's available now. I'm sure there's some AI stuff, at this point of technology. But so imagine, you're a dad, obviously you're a solo dad or you're divorced or whatever it is, and you're on the site, you meet another woman, and you see the pictures, they see your pictures, maybe she has kids. Maybe she sees the pictures of you and your kids, and you kind of have an interest. You maybe think she's beautiful, she thinks she's cool, thinks she's smart. So you match, whatever happens on those sites. And you're talking, you start in the DMs, and then you're talking. Eventually you exchange numbers, and then you're talking. Then eventually maybe like a little FaceTime, WhatsApp video action. You get to know each other, and you're like, wow, this person's really cool. They're smart. They seem like they're a great parent. All my non-negotiables, as a dad, for instance, they can't smoke. They can't have an excessive drinking problem. You don't have to think of obviously your kids. And you're like, all right, cool. Let's meet. Let's go on a date. Let's do the thing. Let's meet. So you pick a place, pick a restaurant. You get there early. You're super excited. You're nervous. And then in she walks. And oh my God, she's even more beautiful than you thought. It was actually her. Guess what? You're not catfished. So you don't have to call your boys and be like, yo, bro, actually the real person showed up. You don't have to call your friends to help save you because you were catfished. I know that stuff exists. So you sit down, right? You're super excited for the date, and you're leaning in to get to know each other. And as you do that, she's on her phone. That's weird. Maybe she's telling her friend that I didn't catfish, or maybe she's close with her mom still and telling her mom where she is. God forbid, whatever. I get it. So then you're talking. She finally starts paying attention. You're like, oh my God, how long did it take to get here? It's snowing in New York. Whatever. Making basic conversation. Next thing you know, you're like, all right, let's order an appetizer. So the waiter comes again. She's on her phone. You're like, oh, it's weird. She's really on her phone a lot. So you order the appetizer, whatever. Finally, you're talking to her, and she's still on her phone, kind of half in the convo. And you're asking her basic questions, and she goes, wait, what'd you say? And you ask her something else, and, she puts it down, gives you maybe one or two sentences, and then it gets kind of quiet. She goes back on her phone, right? And you're like, so, how do you feel about, the Super Bowl and Bad Money, right? And the same thing. She says, wait, what? I'm sorry, what'd you say? She's giving you all the meta messages in the world that she just doesn't care, right? She's there. You're not that important to her. The phone's more important. And if it were me, that would be a pretty big red flag. I probably would dead the date right there, and I probably wouldn't speak to her because, time is a commodity. Anyone watching or listening, your time is your biggest commodity. You're not going to get any redos, and you have enough respect for yourself that if the person's not that into you, you've seen the movies, right? Then they're just not that into you, and that's fine. There's a lot of people in this world. If this person's not that into you, maybe the next would be, or should be, or could be. So the analogy of that, and it's brutal, right? Sitting there, being with someone, super excited, months and months potentially of looking for people. Finally you met someone, you're sitting there, and you're so into it, and that person could care less. They're on their phone. That's more important than you. That's the meta message. And regardless, guys, of emotions, it gets to you. It would suck. It would really be bad. We, as a collective society of dads, we do that to our kids probably every single day. Every day, they show up, and more often than not, myself included, I'll fall right on the sword and say, I struggle with this so much. We're on our phones, and they're talking to us, and we're their protector. But how do you think daddy's little girl feels when she shows up and she's trying to engage with the dad, right? Whether it's developmentally crawling or playing with blocks or doing cutesy little songs or doing little dance battles, right? Off of whatever the cool new trending dance is. Or worse yet, hey, dad, this is what happened today. This is how I felt about it. All the stuff that it's so hard to get your kids to do, let alone your daughter. And when she starts doing that, you give the meta message on your technology, you're just not that important to me. Sorry, I'm busy. I'm busy with something more important than you. And it's the same feeling I'm sure that guy felt at dinner when he was so excited to hang out with that girl, and she just straight up didn't care, right? She was on her phone. You're not that important. I'm probably here for a free dinner. So it is what it is, right? I'm sure at that moment he was super devastated. And it is what it is. It's just a crappy feeling. But we were giving our kids that feeling every single day. So this was actually something that was I had a hyper awareness of this when my older daughter actually threw it in my face after really embarrassing me in front of my digital marketing team, believe it or not. Every question that she was asked, oh, daddy has to put away his phone. Oh, daddy's always on his phone. What's the favorite spot you want to go on a vacation? Anywhere where daddy puts his phone away. And first, I was defensive and I had conversations with her. And I said, you're really embarrassed, daddy. I really didn't appreciate that. And then she started crying and it made me feel like a real piece of garbage. It made me feel like a piece of garbage because it took years to have Daniela come into my life. And I didn't know if I was going to have kids. You never know until, you have the benefit of having them. Like, what if I'm not destined to have them? And it was years and went through hell to have Daniela. And then finally, my daughter comes into my life and it's the greatest thing in the world. I was like, oh, for the boy. Next thing you know, I have a girl. Oh my God, I don't know what to do with girls. Having daughters is the biggest blessing in the world for me. I was definitely destined to be a girl dad, but I went through hell and all that to have her. And then next thing you know, she thinks that she's not that important to me and I just don't care about her. Like, what a crappy turn of events that is. So after I kind of, put down my guard, became vulnerable, I realized that she was right. She was right. I wasn't being present. I thought presence was physical, just as I said, that I thought that the presence puzzle was just being there, but it's not. It's more than that, right? It's being attentive, being into the emotions with them, right? Putting away the technologies. It was specifically at that moment when in my head, I'm like, all right, I got to take some time, really put together a better plan here, work on my presence, because right now I'm failing and I didn't want to fail anymore. So it was at that moment that I realized that, not that I realized I love my kids. I love my kids, but I realized I need to work on myself. I was like, oh, I'm the man. I'm always there, right? I'm always the dad that shows up. But that was wrong. It was wrong thinking. So I had to do some kind of introspective and retrospective thinking on what is presence, where did it all go wrong, why was I doing so bad at being present, and then what are the things that I could do to improve presence, therefore improving my relationship with my kids. So to improve myself as a dad with presence, with my kids, which is super important to me, especially after being called out my kids. The first thing, and again, you don't need a Harvard education or you go to like the Yale School of Medicine to understand that the first thing to work on, and the first thing that I worked on is technology, right? Smartphones, social media on the smartphones, iPads, computers, laptops, whatever your fix is. Technology is the death, dads, of presence with your kids. I repeat, technology use is the death of presence with your kids. And again, it's the best analogy. Imagine, and again, not to get all in the feelings, to get all emo with you dads, but imagine you're with someone, you like them, you thought they liked you, and they're on their phone the whole time. It's very clear they don't like you. You're not that important. But we do that every single day to our kids. So the first thing that I realized for myself is I have to put away my technology. Now, I am a tech junkie. I own a mortgage company, right? And plus I'm in like the sales side on the mortgage side. We have this whole amazing DadderUp movement, that's hitting the world basically in 2026. So how does everybody speak in this world? They speak on technology. So of course, between emails and texts, and I'm one of those people. I, pound for pound, answer emails faster than people answer text messages. It's a sickness. So for me, it was really hard to wean off the bottle from a technology perspective. But I did because, again, just like anything in life, guys, the pain has to be high enough to want you or to cause you to affect change, right? The pain has to be great enough. They're like, all right, there's something wrong here, and I have to affect change or change what I'm doing, change my habits. And seeing my oldest daughter cry, tell me she thinks that she's not that important to me, and just knowing the lead up of how hard it was just to have her and just for us to have her in general, it was pretty brutal. It was one of the most hurtful things that I've been through, knowing that I was the one at fault, right? You ever sometimes something happens and you were at fault and you're just like, I'm just going to eat crow right now because the person is right. Well, that was one of those really horrible moments where the two greatest things that ever happened to me, my two daughters, one of them just basically told me that you're just giving me the messages that I'm not that important to you. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. But like in her little world, I wasn't paying attention. And I get it. I couldn't imagine as a little kid looking up to my dad who loves me. And like I do, I love on my kids. It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. And I'm talking to him and he's just not giving me the time of day or he's not paying attention. The meta message there, it would make me feel like crap. So it's at that moment I decided, all right, I have a problem. I'm going to fix this. So how did I fix it? It was difficult. I tried all the strategies, right? I tried like being there, put it on silent, like whatever. So for me, the best strategy, which unfortunately, guys, the medication that's prescribed for this is more so you just got to put the technology away. No silent, no like you'll have it over here, you'll flip it upside down. It's like admit we as a society, we as dads, me as an individual, there's a sickness when it comes to addictions to these technology things. And they made them really good, right? The notifications pop up. You see on the text what people say. I mean, the technology is flawless and it's only getting better. So the real only way to curb this is to put the whole phone on silent and put it away. Now, granted, things may happen and you might need the phone to be able to ring or, I get that. But more often than not, especially in my life, I realized when I put the technology away, nothing happened. Nothing horrible happened. Nothing happened that I couldn't come back to in a handful of hours. So, I picked the times that were important for me to be present with no technology, which is, not the whole day, but say, for instance, certain times where it's like, hey, after school, the best moments, right? How is school? How's sports? Let's talk about the homework. Oh, you're playing flute. How's that going? You want to start taking private lessons and do NISMO, which is the coolest conversation, right? Or, how's it going, Gabby, in the second grade? How is it playing goggle ball? Never even heard of that growing up. Like, oh, you hurt your knee. How did that happen? Those are the best moments. And if I'm half in the conversation on my technology the whole time, it's never going to leave a lasting impression that they know that I care about their day and I love them. So the first thing for me was the technology side. It's super hard, but I will, again, go on record. Technology and its usage is the death of presence, especially for dads. So if you're struggling with presence, the first thing, like an instant fix, it worked for me. Take your phone, put it on silent when you're with your kids, put it in your pocket, put it somewhere, and just stay off of it. I guarantee you instantly, and then slowly over time, you'll see massive improvement. All right, guys, before I get into the second thing that really helped me kind of redefine my relationship with my kids and improve from a presence perspective, I realized that I was, especially after talking to my older daughter, like I said, that I was struggling with so many things. So being a psych guy, I realized there's 5 specific pillars of being a good dad. There was presence, but also patience, strength, leadership, and legacy. So I made this kind of self-assessment for myself. I called it the anchor assessment. And what it was is it's a bunch of questions based on these 5 pillars. And depending on how you answer it, like it showed me when I answer them and saw how I was showing up in each of the pillars, where I was struggling, and then by seeing where I struggled, I knew what I had to work on. Specifically for me, it was presence, which I was just being physical, right? I was just showing up physically. I had to really work on that, especially being called out by my kids. And strength, specifically, at the time I was super overweight and I was like, all right, like this isn't funny anymore, whether it's just vanity or I don't want to be the guy to have a stroke or a heart attack from my kids. I want to live forever, quote unquote. I had to work on that. So if you're struggling with anything as well, make sure, guys, go in the description, click the link, take the anchor assessment. So I created, again, an assessment, and it's going to tell you in the 5 pillars where you're doing great, kudos to you. But of course, what are some of the things that you need to work on? So once you fill out the assessment, my team will send you the free workbook, which is going to give you strategies for your weaknesses to improve them. So make sure, if you want to improve yourself as a dad and you understand there's things you probably need to work on, but you don't know where to start, hop in the description, click the link, take the anchor assessment, and it's going to show you where you're showing up great, where as a dad you could do a little bit better, and then the workbook that comes with it, it's going to help you on all your weaknesses. So within a matter of a month, you'll see great improvements. Now, the second thing, and it's so cool, because you know what it costs, guys? Free. I'm going to call it, you got to be in it to win it. And what does that mean? So I realized that my kids do so many cool things. And listen, I'm a bro, 44. I like football. I like work, entrepreneur stuff. I like a lot of bro stuff, right? UFC, various things. But I have a 9 and a 7-year-old, 2 little girls. So I'm not saying that they don't like the UFC and all that stuff, but they're little girls. I realize all the cool little things that they're into, that I had to like be in it to win it, right? That's what I said. I had to start like being in it with them, all the things they liked. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a concerted effort, because I wasn't doing this before. Again, I wasn't in my technology. I was all up in my own world. Whatever they're into in the moment, I'm going to be into as well. And what that did was I saw that when I started doing that my relationship with them had improved. Why? Because they felt like I loved them and I cared and like their interests mattered to me, right? They didn't look at me as like this untouchable, kind of like godlike, almost like scared and loved kind of father, figure. They're like, I'm in it with them. They realized that I love them and what their interests are like matter to me. And they felt like I was kind of like one of them, specifically as an example, the Wicked thing. So my kids, they loved Wicked. Now Wicked for Good came out. So what do? Just last weekend, they typed up on the Chromebook, they typed up a play. I was like, all right, I'm in it with you. Let's like do this play together. So what did we do? They were writing up their lines and I played Fiaro. So I'm not going to tell you I can sing. I have a horrific voice, straight up. But I was in there. I was sitting, I was watching, I was videotaping them when they love to see themselves back. I was singing whatever songs I could. But just as an example, that one little thing of me kind of humbling down and embarrassing myself, it's just now that's going to be talked about in our family forever, just because it was so cool and so funny. We had like so many little inside jokes. And that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't in it to win it, right? If I didn't do the thing with them and meet them where they were. That's one example. And I'm sure in your life with your kids, there's so many things. And just ask yourself, honestly, looking in the mirror, man in the glass, I always call it. Are you doing the thing and showing up and meeting them where they are? And are you in it to win it in the moment? Another thing is my older daughter. She's playing the flute. So her good old Papa Bear, he used to play the saxophone approximately 25 years ago. So rather than her just play the flute and just let her do her thing with a metronome, I'm like trying to help her out. I could tell you after work that I'm quite tired and it's not the easiest thing in the world to listen to a metronome in a first year flautist, as they call it in the hood, but I do it. And what else am I going to do now? I reached out to her music store and I actually asked them to rent a saxophone. So later this week, I'm going to go get a saxophone. I'm going to dust off my chops and I'm going to start playing the saxophone with her. Why? Because I want to revisit being a great saxophonist, if that's a word. No, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life that are taking a higher precedent and of importance than me being a good saxophone player again, because it means the world to her. And frankly, because of that, because it means the world to her, it now means the world to me. There's nothing greater than for me seeing when I lean in and do things with my kids that they love, and then they see that I'm enjoying it, the joy and just like the whole moment, that whole thing is worth its weight in gold to me. So because of that, that's why I'm doing it, because it's going to give her great joy. When she has great joy, or your kids have great joy, I think as a parent, we all collectively, especially as a dad, have great joy as well. That's another example of like something that I'm doing. It could be a lot easier than that, right? Do your kids use Legos? Do they put them together? How many parents have patience with all the Legos? Like it just makes a hot mess, right? Especially they never finish it. It's always all over the place. You always miss that one piece and it ruins the whole thing. But like take that moment. Do the Legos with them. Or, say your kid plays soccer. Are they out back, kicking the ball in the net or whatever they're doing? Like I can just tell you, I guarantee you, if you take a deep breath and you want to work on this just like I did, and you kind of look, 30,000 feet and you see all the things that your kid, whether it's a boy or a girl, what they do during the day, you can kind of peel off 1, 2, 3-ish things that you could be doing with them. And I guarantee you, just like it worked for me, if you start doing the stuff with them, and you're in it to win it with them, that your relationship will improve. You're going to make them feel a sense of love, caring, acceptance, all that good stuff. And that just only helps your relationship with them and them developmentally. Now, the third thing, to most, this is easy. To me, I struggle because I am a man. I am a fixer. It's don't interrupt your kids. Let them speak and don't fix right away. Right? And I'm saying this because there's all the books, whether you agree with them or not, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, women like to communicate, men like to fix. I am just one of those people, especially for the people that I love, if something's going wrong or they're feeling pain or sadness, instantly in my head, it's just how I'm hardwired. How do I fix it? What can I do right now to turn that frown upside down, to fix whatever they're going through, at least my kids, especially because I'm a girl dad. Pain, people at school aren't being nice to them, or they didn't do so well on the soccer field, or whatever it is. It could be anything. Instead of just listening to them, at least over the last couple of years, it was like, what can I do to fix this? So can I get them a private coach? Can I get them a tutor? Can I help them, fix things at school with some of the relationships and some of the dramas, as they like to call it. But no, I realized it's not even about that with them. I ask them open-ended questions, and I just let them speak. And I don't fix it, and I let them speak. And sometimes they don't want to speak, and I press, and I prod, and I push, which I do so well. I needle them a little bit, but in a healthy way. And I've realized by letting them speak, tell me about their day, making extreme eye contact, which again gives a meta message. Oh my God, he cares. He's listening. My opinion matters. He loves me, right? This is all the stuff that we want for our kids. The same thing with guys. I mean, listen, little dudes, I don't necessarily know what little dudes do. I'm sure that they want to speak. And they're like, rah, 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 tell about your day, tell about practice, tell about school, tell about, maybe a girl on the, the playground and something that happened. Like there's all cool little stories as boys and girls grow up. But I just found for myself that if if I stopped interrupting, especially at moments of pain and just like, no, 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 like this is how we're going to fix it, letting them speak, pressing them more, letting them speak even more, asking them open-ended questions. Oh my God. If you ask a kid, how did that make you feel? That's not a very typical question that kids are asked, but it's a very amazing kind of conversation starter. And it just like lets the kid kind of get into it. So you could really get to know your kids, because that's why you have them, right? To love on them, to get to know them, because time, it's all borrowed, right? The best analogy for me has always been, first, if you think of a football game, we're kind of in the huddle with our kids. Then all of a sudden we're on the sidelines watching. Then all of a sudden we're in the stands. And all of a sudden we're not even in the stadium anymore, right? And that is true. Whether your kid's 6 months old, 3 years old, like mine, 7, 9, going into middle school, going into high school, graduating, going to college. You can imagine when my kids leave, off the nest into college, brutal. It's going to be brutal. But you have to take advantage of the time that you have with them. So one of the best ways that I found to do that is just let them talk, right? My kids love to talk now. And sometimes it takes a little bit for them to open up. But again, become a master, right? If you want to get good at something, push, prod, kind of poke your kids to have them open up. And then once they do, don't interrupt them. Let them speak. If things are going wrong, don't fix it right away. That's what I am. I'm a fixer. I stopped. And I have found that doing that my kids feel that I care, which I do. I've always cared. It's just the way, the way I was showing up wasn't giving off that same vibe, which really stunk. And their feelings matter, and they felt really heard. And I have found that when my kids feel heard and understood, that my relation with them, it just gets better and better. And you know what else improved? Their sleep was doing better. Their eating habits was better or were better. And like them listening, right? Our moments of conflict, right? When a parent says this and a kid doesn't listen, or then you say it again. I found it sometimes takes 3 times for my kids to listen, like third time, lucky third time. I just found that stuff kind of got a little bit better because they felt like this closeness with me. And with that closeness, I felt that it helped all the facets of being a dad. Everything seemed to improve. Now, I'm not telling you if you follow these 3, just like life's going to be like la-di-da, bubblegum and rainbows. Every single day, it takes work showing up being a better dad. But for me, the first step was brutal honesty. It was the moment of pain of one of the 2 most important people in my life telling me they thought I didn't care about them. That really, really, really hurt, really got to me. And it was at that moment when I realized I could either be defensive like most people are. Who are you at 9 years old to tell me anything? Oh, like I'm the wise wizard. No, no, no. She was right. And I appreciate that she was vulnerable enough. And I'm a big guy, not intimidated or anything. She told me how she felt. And not only did my relationship improve with her, I think just as a human being it improved, realizing that there's so many things in my life that I was just very, tunnel vision. I didn't see the forest from the trees, and I was doing it the wrong way. So I was able to be a little bit more introspective, redefine a lot of things in my life, and then specifically with presence, redefine, hey, my kids are so important to me. In my heart, I know they're important, but I need them to feel that they're important to me, just like I knew they were in my heart. How am I going to do that? I came up with a plan, and by improving my use of technology and by being in the moment, right? Like, got to be in it to win it. But the unfortunate thing was it took a moment of really being in the pit with my relationship with my kids, specifically my older daughter, to realize that I had a problem, that I wasn't doing it right, that someone who I would have done anything to bring her into my life, my older daughter, is actually feeling like she's just not that important to me. It was brutal and it really hurt. But it was at that moment I made the executive decision that I'm going to better myself as a dad. And then, of course, just like anything like in business, I OCD'd and I strategized, and I realized it was just put away the technology, whatever they're doing, be in it to win it, meet them where they are, and stop interrupting them, stop fixing their problems, quote unquote. Stop being the typical guy and just let them speak, encourage, vis-a-vis open-ended questions, just encourage the communication environment and let them feel heard. And after all this stuff happened, our relationship with that dad improved. And I'm not going to tell you went from 0 to 100 in perfection. Again, every single day being a dad, there's always something to work on. There's more than just the presence pillar. But I can tell you that the presence pillar is actually very important. And I wish somebody, similar to me telling you now, would have slapped me around a few years back and be like, broski, you think you're crushing it, but you're not. Here's 3 quick strategies on what you can do to improve. I would have done anything for that. All right, guys, presence. Remember, it's not just physical. And I realized this kind of the hard way with my older daughter. And I realized presence has many facets to it. And when I deployed the 3 strategies that I went over, I saw my relationship with them improve. But make sure, guys, if this video really resonated and you got some great tips from it, make sure you watch our next video where I talk about the discipline required to be a great dad. Now, we are all motivated on a Sunday and a Monday, right? But it's the day to day discipline that gets the job done. Make sure you watch our next video.